So you're a coach or a consultant and you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel or just at least getting your business and message out there and being a bit more public. And the option that's appealing to you right now is a faceless platform. Let's see whether or not this is really the less risky option you think it is. Faceless could feel like a really good strategy, especially if you think that you're lacking in confidence or you don't have the authority to show up as yourself right now. You might also be worried about feeling judged, and you're also thinking about your professional reputation, and that's something obviously that you don't want to be messing with. But faceless brands don't always remove the risk in the way that we think it does. What it can do, sadly, is cause you to delay certain decisions that you need to be making. And you would know as a coach or a consultant that when you delay making certain decisions, they usually come back to you later on at a higher cost with more consequences. So you could ask though, what does she know about building faceless channels when she's only got 200 people on her subscriber list? And yes, this channel is quite new, and me being on YouTube talking about this topic is new. However, what I do have is 25 years of experience working with transition, rehabilitation, and change. And I do know what works when it comes to human engagement and building positive, empowering professional relationships that are built on trust and what it gets for people to trust. And what I do know from studying and working in those environments is how to protect your professional reputation. So if that sounds okay, let's have a chat about whether faceless content is the one for you. So faceless, number one, takes the pressure of you showing up and being seen. And secondly, my gosh, it feels as if it just takes the pressure off being seen and you can make loads of money. I mean, we've all seen those videos that say, I've made £10,000 or $10,000 without showing my face. And for some people, that has worked. However, if you're a coach or consultant, you have to look at whether or not that fits your brand. And for some people, it has worked. If what you want to do is run a motivational page and you want to just share quotes and affirmations, then it's going to work really well for that. If what you wanted to do was just entertain and provide commentary on information that's already out there, then it will also work very well for that. You can even go as far as sharing or even creating digital products, but these would have to be low cost and low trust because people in this field are not buying you or your expertise. They're buying an experience, a feeling, or a quick fix. So when it comes to digital products, for example, they're buying a shortcut. They just want something that's not linked to any great risk, but something that just makes their life easier in this moment. Or when it comes to quotes, they just need a quote for the day. But if your plan is something a little bit more than that, you want to use your expertise to work with people in a more valuable way. You want to reach them when it comes to their finances, their relationships, their life, their careers. These aren't low trust or low risk situations. These are linked to reputations, identities, responsibilities. These are high risk issues. And when people engage because they have to make these high risk decisions, they aren't just buying information. They're buying your judgment. They're buying your perspective. They're buying your ability to guide them through complex issues. And when you move into wanting to guide and support people through complex issues such as their health, their career, relationships, that changes everything because people in that space are asking themselves, can I trust how you think? Can you handle complexities when what I'm dealing with isn't even clear for me? When the pressure comes to it and I have to make some decisions, will you stand by the guidance that you gave me? And they also want to know whether or not you have experience in navigating the consequences and fallout that could come from high stakes decisions, or whether or not all you have is ideas. And that's why lived experience, history, credentials matter far more in this field than many people want to admit. And that's also why it is absolutely impossible to build that level of trust so that you can work with people on that way if you're hiding behind stock footage or AI avatars. Because when it comes to credibility, you can't outsource that. Many people come to me and they're asking me questions and relaying things that have happened in their lives that they've never been able to speak to partners, managers, family members, or friends about it. And so you have to ask yourself, if that were you, would you trust asking those questions with a faceless platform? So if you create your faceless platform, even if you use your AI twin and you give it all of the information that you want to give it, and so you know that that information that you're sharing is authentic, what sets you apart is different. Anybody else can come along, take the audio from a video on YouTube that's doing really well, throw it into an AI tool, get it to remix it a little bit and rewrite it so it sounds a little bit different. Take that transcript, throw it into another AI tool, put their AI twin, cartoon character, avatar, whatever it is that they want to put on it, throw some B-roll on there, put the voice on there, and throw that back onto YouTube as a whole new video. Now, even though yours may be authentic information, what sets you apart as different to that? There's absolutely no differentiator. Standing behind faceless content doesn't set you apart as different to anybody. You have no USP, and so you also hold no authority. The other issue is that faceless also doesn't hold any accountability. So where there isn't anyone visible who's holding the ideas, the options, or the outcome, again, potential clients will see this. They may feel safe at first because the information sounds great, but they're going to hesitate when it comes to engaging and trusting. And the other thing is that it can really hurt your progress because there may be times when you're going to have to step out of the shadows. Suppose you wanted to start charging higher prices. You're not going to be able to do that from a faceless channel. Suppose you wanted to go after corporate contracts or speaking opportunities, or even what you really want to do right now to position yourself as a thought leader. It's going to be very difficult to do that from the space of being faceless, because when you step out of that AI persona, you're back to ground zero, having to build that brand all up again. And so remember what we said about delaying decisions at the beginning and having to deal with them later on? Many times what you will have to do is start building all over again as yourself. And I've seen this with clients who have been putting so much effort into their platforms to the point where some of them have been burning themselves out, but no one knows who they are. And when it came to certain opportunities where they could have been more visible or even money being attached, they've lost out on that. And by that time, they're already tired. And then they're panicking because they're thinking, I've put all this work into it. And for what? And we do know that from that space of burnout, and being tired and panicking is never a good space to build authority from. But the reason why it usually feels safer to build a faceless brand is not because you're lacking in confidence. It's because you know that there is a risk attached to being visible. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that and recognizing that, because that's the reality. You know that there are inferences that can be drawn from being visible, that there are uncomfortable conversations with managers that you would prefer not to have just because you've been visible. And so for many people, they stay silent, they don't say anything. And it is not because of a lack of confidence. It's because they haven't yet figured out the safe way to show up without feeling exposed or damaging their reputation. And that's why I created the professional voice. So the professional voice is a guide that helps you to show up with confidence whilst keeping your professional and your personal reputation intact, as you also protect your brand and your journey. So if you're watching this and you've been thinking, do you know what? I am tired of being invisible, but I cannot afford to get this wrong. There is nothing wrong with that thinking. You need to pay attention to the risks involved. But this is where the professional voice is going to help you, so you can download your copy below. Because what you might be lacking is not confidence, it's just the strategy and the framework, and that's what you'll find in the guide. So to build your authority, you need to be clear and consistent with the value that you provide. And you need to stand for and by your brand, because if you don't, who will? And so getting very clear on how you can do this is going to help, because you might be looking for potential clients who you're going to be speaking to about being brave and being visible themselves. And you're going to want those clients to trust you with helping them make brave decisions, with helping them be visible, with helping them take responsibility for their decisions and stepping into their own leadership. And if there's a mismatch between what you're saying and what you're doing, your potential clients are going to see it. And sometimes they may not be able to name it, but they just know that something doesn't feel right. And if something doesn't feel right, we don't always engage with it as freely and as openly because we don't trust it. And so you need to be congruent with what you're saying so that you can build that trust. And these are the kind of conversations that we have every week in our school community on our voice, our positioning, multiple streams of income, our visibility, whether or not we're in alignment with our values and our purpose. And so if you feel that you can benefit from ongoing support, then feel free to check out the community. So faceless, is it a yes or nah? I'd love to hear in the comments how you manage your visibility or how the professional voice helped you. Until the next video, bye.